Nobody really prepared us for this. We knew adulthood would cost money. We knew there would be rent, groceries, electric bills, phone bills, transportation, insurance, and all the other boring expenses nobody thinks about when they're young. But I don't think anybody prepared us for the feeling that simply existing would become this expensive. I'm not talking about living some extravagant lifestyle. I'm talking about regular life. Going to the grocery store, getting something to eat, keeping a roof over your head, getting to work, having a phone, buying a few things you need around the house, maybe going somewhere on the weekend. Nothing crazy. And somehow, by the time you add everything together, your paycheck is practically gone. That's the part that gets me. You can work. You can be responsible. You can avoid buying expensive things. You can stay home more. You can cook your own food. You can cancel subscriptions. You can look for sales. And you can still feel like you're falling behind. There used to be this idea that if you weren't doing well financially, there must be something you were doing wrong. Maybe you spent too much. Maybe you didn't work hard enough. Maybe you needed to budget better. But what happens when millions of ordinary people are asking the same question? Where is all my money going? Because it doesn't feel like people suddenly became irresponsible. It feels like normal life became premium priced. Look at something as simple as getting lunch. You walk into a place, order a sandwich and a drink, and suddenly you're standing there staring at the screen thinking, wait, that's how much? Then the screen flips around asking for a tip. Then there's tax. Maybe there's a service fee. Maybe there's a delivery fee if you ordered it through an app. You haven't even eaten yet, and you're already questioning your financial decisions. So you say, fine, I'll stop eating out. I'll buy groceries. Then you walk into the supermarket. Same feeling. You grab a few things, look inside the cart, and somehow you spent way more than you expected. And that's when something strange starts happening psychologically. You start questioning every purchase. Do I really need this? Can I wait another week? Is there a cheaper version? Should I put this back? And we're not talking about luxury items. We're talking about detergent, coffee, toilet paper, food, things you actually use. That's what makes this moment feel different. It's not that expensive. Things are expensive. Of course, they're expensive. It's that ordinary things are starting to feel expensive. And when ordinary things become expensive, life itself starts feeling expensive. Then there's housing. For generations, having your own place represented independence. You got a job, moved out, paid your bills, and built your life. Now people are looking at rents and wondering how they're supposed to do that alone. Roommates aren't always a temporary college thing anymore. Living with family isn't necessarily something you do until you get started. For some people, these arrangements have become the only way the numbers make sense. And there's nothing inherently wrong with living with other people. The problem is when you don't have a choice. Because financial freedom isn't about being rich. It's about having options. That's what people are losing. Options. You don't replace the car because you can't afford another payment. You don't leave the apartment because everything else costs more. You don't quit the job you hate because you can't risk missing a paycheck. You don't go to the dentist because you're worried about what they're going to find. You don't take the trip. You don't buy the new clothes. You don't go out. You don't take chances. Eventually, your entire life starts being organized around one question. Can I afford it? And that does something to people. It changes the way you think about the future. Previous generations were encouraged to imagine what they could build. A house, a family, a career, a business, retirement, travel. Whatever their version of success looked like. Now, a lot of people aren't thinking 20 years ahead. They're thinking about Friday. They're thinking about the next paycheck. They're thinking about whether the rent clears before another bill hits the account. They're thinking about whether that weird noise coming from the car can wait another month. That's a completely different relationship with adulthood. And maybe that's why so many people seem exhausted. It's not always physical exhaustion. It's decision exhaustion. Financial exhaustion. Constantly calculating. Constantly adjusting. Constantly moving money around. Constantly trying to figure out which bill matters most. You're basically playing financial Tetris every month. Move this here. Delay that. Cancel this. Pay that. Wait till Friday. Use that credit card. Pay the credit card. repeat. And meanwhile, you're surrounded by advertisements telling you to upgrade your life. Buy the new phone. Take the vacation. Order the food. Get the bigger apartment. Finance the car. Subscribe to another service. Everything around you is designed to make spending effortless. But earning the money to pay for all of it isn't effortless at all. That's the contradiction of modern life. Buying something has never been easier. Affording everything has never felt harder. And I think people are starting to recognize that. They're becoming less impressed by luxury. They're questioning hustle culture. They're questioning careers that consume their entire lives. They're questioning whether owning more stuff actually makes them happier. Because when everything becomes expensive, your definition of wealth starts changing. Maybe wealth isn't a giant house. Maybe it's having no debt. Maybe it's having enough savings that an unexpected bill doesn't terrify you. Maybe it's having an afternoon where you don't have to work. Maybe it's being able to buy groceries without calculating the total in your head. Maybe it's having enough breathing room to say no. Not to overtime. Not to a terrible boss. No to another payment. No to something you don't actually want. That kind of freedom suddenly feels incredibly valuable. And maybe that's the biggest, this is the biggest thing nobody prepared us for. We were told adulthood would be difficult. We were told we'd have responsibilities. We were told we'd have to work. But nobody really explained what it would feel like when the basic price of participating in society became something you had to constantly think about. When every little convenience came with another charge. When every company wanted another monthly payment. When every trip outside your house somehow cost money. When doing everything right still didn't guarantee you'd feel secure. People aren't asking for mansions. They're asking for breathing room. They're asking for a life where one unexpected expense doesn't destroy the entire month. They're asking for the ability to enjoy something without immediately calculating what they're sacrificing somewhere else. They're asking for something that used to sound incredibly ordinary. A normal life. And somehow, a normal life has started feeling like the luxury. That's the part nobody prepared us for.